Hi, this is Ron Mertensen of runmertblog.com. I'm here today to talk to you about Topaz Impression 2. I'm running version 2.0.4 on Windows 10 for this demo. This is a very fast i7 Skylake processor system. So performance is one of the problems with this product. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but when you understand what it does, you sort of forgive it. And what it does is it actually interprets your image and draws using a series of thousands, tens of thousands, sometimes millions of brush strokes. And so it's easier to forgive when you know how much hard work it's doing behind the scenes. So it comes with a default image preloaded, unless you turn that option off. And you can go and browse different kind of favorites. There's different favorite categories. You can go get more from the community. One of the challenges, though, as I mentioned, is that it's slow when it renders all those, so use those with caution. For this demo, I won't be doing that. So what I'm going to do is go open up a file, and let's just go ahead and start with this one here. So for example, let's just click on Cave Dweller here. And you'll see that it kind of gave it a really interesting look. Some really cool things happening with the textures and everything here. But that's not my favorite one. One of my favorite ones for this one, actually, if I scroll down a little bit, they have this Surat Afternoon. This is my list of favorites, which kind of makes it quite interesting. I will tell you that a shot like this, or a painting like this, you can't look at really up close on your display. You have to walk across the room and then look at it to really truly appreciate it. And that's one of the challenges, I guess I would say, about impression, is that don't judge some of these by just that 6 inches or 8 inches, 12 inches, whatever you sit from your display. You really need to kind of step back and take a look to really appreciate it. For this one here, I think probably my favorite one is actually one of the Van Goghs. And I thought this just kind of gave a real interesting look. You can see the koi in the water here. Kind of really cool thing happening with the lamp here and the light here. And just kind of feels really fun. And again, if you step further back, it really is a really nice experience. No, I don't want to save that. And in this image, what will happen is it will generally pick up the last thing that you did, although it feels sometimes kind of random. I really like the look this gave this, and especially as you get into a higher resolution display or print, this one really looks pretty awesome. But again, step back to really appreciate what these things can do. Another one that I really liked was the Degas Dancers. And then finally, the Cave Dweller 2 I thought was kind of cool. And in this case, I actually thought it was my favorite for this one. But let's suppose you don't like some of the things it's doing. Like, I really like this texture, but let's say you didn't want to do that. What you could do is you can come click on here, and what you see now is basically the layers that have been applied to this. And so I could come along and just turn that texture strength off, and that takes care of that problem. I can also choose different textures, ones that maybe felt more appropriate. Let's just randomly pick one here, crank it up, and kind of see what it does. And so it's really fun, and that's generally the workflow, is that you experiment with a lot of presets, and then you go make the changes you want. And if you wanted to create something from scratch, you could as well. So let's go back here. And for this one of my favorites, the Degas Dancers again. I thought it gave it a really interesting look. And next one was the Edward Hopper, excuse me. This kind of really gave it an interesting look because of these shadows and the colors in here. But what you're seeing is with one click, I have these really interesting and exciting paintings that have been done with unedited images, ones that I've done nothing with, and it makes them so much more interesting. And then if I come down a little further, Another one I thought was pretty fun was a Surratt Afternoon. Just kind of gave it a bright look. And again, when I step back, it really is very interesting how it looks. But the one that just kind of blew me away was the Van Gogh. And I'll tell you why. If you follow the line of this tree, this almost feels like a person's face and, kind of chest and arms. And so it's like this, woman that's looking to the heavens. And the higher resolution you see this one, for example, in print or on a 4K display instead of this 1080p display, it's really quite fascinating to behold. So, talking about the user interface real quickly, there is your typical ability to go see the original and then the edited version scrolling, fit it to 100% or fit to window, just kind of all your basic stuff. And if you ever wanted to search for something, you could do search, say, for example, Degas, and that'll show me not just my favorites, but all the ones that fit into that category. Or if I wanted to do Monet fast, when I browse, I can get a bigger window. Let's go ahead and go to all. This is going to be the painful part. And what you'll see happening is these blue bars, that's the program going off and rendering these other tiles. I guess I don't have enough space there for another row, so I'll just scooch that back. And as I scroll through, you'll see that more will start to paint in. Now, I'm running at 1080p here, which the performance is reasonable, but on my 4K display, which is where I typically run this, the performance can be quite painful. So keep that in mind. One of the better ways to play with the product is to do it on a 1080p display. However, there is a lot more detail that appears to happen on the 4K, and I find that I do appreciate the results way better on a 4K. If you're patient, then it's worth the wait. So this has been Ron Martinson at ronmartblog.com. Please visit my blog where you can get a discount on this product. Thanks.